how's it going everyone? Welcome to Asian Filmist. My name is Ray and I love movies. And the movie that we're going to be talking about today is the 2017 film Survival Family, directed by Yaguchi Shinobu. And it stars Kohinata Fumiyu, Fukatsu, Aoi Wakana, and Izumisawa Yuki as the titular family. This movie originally came out in theaters back in February, and I watched it actually back then. However, up until now, I've been really lazy in making a video talking about Survival Family, but I decided to get off my ass and, well, here we are today. So the story of Survival Family is really simple. Basically, all around the globe, the world experiences a worldwide blackout, and no one knows the reason why. And so the story centers around the Suzukis. We have Dad, who's basically your average salaryman who's always busy in the morning trying to make it to work and probably working overtime for free, a typical Japanese dude. And we have Mama Suzuki, who's your typical Japanese housewife who basically does all the chores in the house. She goes to the supermarket in the morning to get the food for the day or the week or what have you. And then we have the daughter who's glued to her cell phone, always messaging her friends. And then we have the son who's always hooked up to his computer, always has his earphones on listening to music, and always trying to contact the girl he likes via email. And so once this blackout hits, the normal life of the Suzukis are turned upside down, and they have to figure out how to, as a family, survive in this new world with no power, no electricity, and eventually no cash. And so the Suzukis eventually decide to get up and leave the big urban jungle of Tokyo and make their way out west to Kagoshima, which is basically where the wife's family lives. So the journey from Tokyo to Kagoshima is essentially one side of the country to the other. And they're gonna go all this way without the use of cars and basically using their own feet and bicycles and what have you. So what did I think about the latest film by one of my favorite directors? Let's get right into it. Here are the pluses I had with Survival Family. One thing I really enjoyed about Survival Family is that it blends numerous genres of film together really seamlessly. First and foremost, we have the family drama. And with the story essentially being about the Suzukis, they're all kind of disconnected from each other and busy with their own respective duties and lives. And as the movie goes along, they learn how to be a family again. We also get the kind of comedy that's expected from a film by Yaguchi Shinobu. And more or less we get a post-apocalyptic genre. When the lights turn out, everyone is trying to figure out how to fend for themselves and how to try to survive. And the genre that kind of glues all these other genres together is the road trip genre, where all the family members decide to get up and leave Tokyo and go all the way to Kagoshima. And the story is really fun when it tracks all their misadventures and close encounters as they go all the way from one side of the country to the other. And while it blends all these genres together, at the same time it doesn't really make it feel overcrowded, and actually it still does a good job at keeping the characters really relatable and really connectable, so that way you actually come to like these characters. And each of the characters of the Suzukis, they go through their own type of character growth. For example, Daddy Suzuki, he starts off as your typical kind of asshole dad, businessman, salaryman, kind of more in love with his work than with his family. But as the story goes along, he really learns to appreciate his family. And each of the characters learn or acquire some sort of skill that they wouldn't have been able to learn have it been for their old life being glued to technology and whatnot. And to top it off, the performances done by the actors with these characters that they played, they did a very good job. And the dad and mom were played by veteran actors Kohinata Fumiyu and Fukatsu, both of whom I absolutely love. And you probably might have seen Kohinata Fumiyu in at least a few movies if you're a fan of Japanese cinema. Like honestly, Kohinata Fumiyu is one of those actors that's just everywhere. And another thing I really liked about Survival Family, and I'm not sure if it was intentional, I'm sure it was intentional, was a social commentary it had with modern society, how everyone is kind of glued to their own devices, whether it be electronic devices or being stuck at work and not really caring about what's going at home. Like the story was an interesting commentary on what people would do, what society would do if you take away all those devices and humanity basically had to restart from scratch. Like from day one when the power goes out, basically nobody can use credit cards, everyone has to use cash. And as the days go by and it seems like the power won't be turning back on anytime soon cash loses its value. And then we go back to this old ancient bartering system, and then society kind of realizes the kind of things that they need to live in this world and the things that they they don't, and those things that they really value come at, it costs an arm and a leg to purchase. And one thing I really like as a foreigner living in Japan is that you get kind of this interesting scope, seeing what Japanese people would do in this kind of situation when all the lights turn out. I'm pretty sure we all know what would happen if the lights went out in our own countries. There'd be a lot of looting, a lot of robbing. But in Survival Family, Japanese society, Japanese people, they were actually quite orderly. Granted, stealing happens, theft happens, but it's not to the point of mass riots or mass looting. It's actually quite orderly. It's pretty interesting, to be honest. So yeah, I thought the characters, the commentary, the establishing of the world that the story is set in, it was all really well done. But then, a good movie isn't without its bad, so let's talk about the minuses I have with Survival Family. And honestly, there was only one thing I had really negative to say about this movie, and that is I kind of went into Survival Family expecting a different kind of movie. I expected some kind of, funny underdog comedy in the same realm as Waterboys and Swing Girls and even Woodjob. They were all lighthearted underdog comedies, kind of made to make you feel good. But then Survival Family, at first I thought it was kind of serious, and after finishing the movie for the first time, I was kind of taken aback. It was a good movie, but I really was expecting something else. But I gave it some more thought, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought about how everything was pieced together. I actually ended up liking the movie a lot more. Even though I didn't get to experience an underdog story, it had pretty much all the same elements that you would expect from a Yaguchi movie. And the biggest element is the fish out of water element. Basically, all the members of the Suzuki family, they're taken out of their element. They have to survive in this world without the normal devices they're used to having, no car, no money, no electricity, and basically it's them and their own 2 feet. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that yes, this is still an underdog story. In the sense that an underdog story, it's about a guy you wouldn't expect to be able to do it, achieving or accomplishing the impossible. And Survival Family is a story about a family who's really disconnected, but they have to work together in order to survive together. So yeah, when I realized that, I really got to appreciate Survival Family more. I forgave the fact that it was a bit darker than the typical Yaguchi movie I'm used to seeing, and it really made me love the way things eventually came together in the end. Now, I don't know if this is going to be my favorite Yaguchi movie, but it's definitely up there. I mean, it's really hard for Waterboys to be beat, in my opinion. For me, that's my favorite Yaguchi Shinobu movie, but this is still a movie that's worth watching. And the bottom line with Survival Family is, as I mentioned earlier, it blends numerous genres together very seamlessly. The family drama, the road trip, the comedy, the underdog story, the post-apocalyptic and disaster genres. It blends these genres very well for a nice, seamless story from beginning to end. And it gives you very likable characters. It gives you a lot of moments that you'll hurt your gut laughing, and it will also give you moments where you'll be holding onto the edge of your seats because of how gripping it is. And I definitely recommend this for, everyone. You should definitely watch this movie. And also, if you're a fan of Yaguchi Shinobu, it's a must-see. You have to see it. And even if you don't know Yaguchi's other movies, still watch this movie. I think you'll become a fan of his work. So those are my thoughts on Survival Family. What did you guys think? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment below. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to Asian Filmist for more reviews and discussions on Asian film. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And if you subscribe to our email newsletter, you can receive a free copy of our ebook, The 108 Asian Films for New Fans to Watch. And once again, my name is Ray. You can follow me on Twitter at RayMaru555. And yeah, that's about it, everyone. Alright guys, I'm about to watch some more movies. Be back soon, yeah? Promise.